Alright, in this video let's create a pizza shop similar to the ice cream shop or the burger shop. Cool. Now you see this is the front end which the non-logged in user can watch as a regular user of your website. Now these images are coming from the product which you have uploaded through the form. So this is coming from database. You can see these images can be found from these products. So this is just an introduction, and then we have this carousel. This is dynamic, this is coming from database, and these are the dynamic added product. So in case if you want one more product you can add, so you need to log in. So I'm right now going to log in as an admin. So uimonk@gmail.com is my username and this is password. Click on login, and now we are going to add another product. So you can see now I am an admin, so I can see I am an admin and I can log in and log out, and I can view all the products and I can create the products if needed. Now for the demonstration I would like to create a product. So let's create a burger called let's just create pizza, chicken pizza, and the description and the price of the pizza is 250. And if you click on choose, you're able to choose the files or the image. So I leave this image folder in the description. Just copy and paste and start along coding. Start coding with me. Now if you click on save, you see a new product will be added. So here we'll be creating the CRUD operation from scratch. So CRUD is nothing but create read. So this is read, and right now we have created, and if you want you can update it. So we can see I have added a pagination feature as well. So if you get into the page and next page again, and this is a product which we have added. So we have read all the added products, and now it's time to update. If you click on edit, you'll be able to update the product. So I have made we can make this cheese pizza and update the product. Choose the image and we can update the image as well, and click on update. Now we have updated the pizza, so that will be added in the front end as well. So now I'm logged in as a admin. So you can see in the header you will see it's an admin. Now if I open it in incognito, that means I am logged out. So as a regular user you would see a pizza also in the product list. So you want to remove a mango ice cream, you can remove that. So in the sidebar you will see view and create. If you click on view, this table comes up, and we click again because it's not updated yet. So I have added pagination feature as well. For one page you can see only 3 products. So the mango ice cream is here. Click on delete, you will see a pop-up and asking for the confirmation, and click on delete, and now it says deleted successfully. Now if I check in the front end, the ice cream will go away, and you should find the pizza in the carousel because we have added right now. Yeah, you see. Cool. Now you have seen two things. The first one is CRUD operation and the second one is login and logout. So let's see how secure this is. Now if you copy this link and you paste it on a URL as a non-admin, you will be redirected to the index page. So I think I have forgotten a code. Let me just code and come back. And I have updated the code. Now if you try to access this URL as a logged in user, sorry, as a non-logged in user, you will be redirected to the home page. The same is true for the create form. Now I am a non-logged in user, and if I try to access the URL, it won't allow me. It will be redirected to the home page. Now here again we have seen the CRUD operation, we have seen the authentication, user authentication, login and logout. So again, just to give you a clarity again, I'm logged in as a admin now. You can log in as a user as well. So I have created a user account, user@gmail. Why don't we create? We'll register the account right now in front of you. It's user28@gmail.com. Email address, password, and this is name. If you click on register, Now this is just a user. You can see you're just a user, but you won't have access to the admin panel. If you are admin, you would be access to the two buttons which I have shown you over here. You can see as admin I have access to these links, but you're as a regular user you don't have access. Again, you can't log in. You can't just use this URL in your regular user, and if you try to access, it will be redirected to the home page. Again, for the view all products. Cool. This is what we are going to create in this tutorial. Now, along with that, in the CRUD operation, we have seen pagination, and I have added the validation as well. If you click on save, it will not allow me to post, but it will show you an error. So this is also created with Laravel. So the major thing that we are going to focus on in this tutorial is the model, the use of model. So the model is a middleman that comes when you want to access the database rows, and this is controller. We create controller to create this route. You can see the URL is called route in Laravel. So this can be created with routes, and the request and rules are for the validation, and we'll see how to access the images in the form as well as in the index page, and we'll see how to pass message between two pages, and we'll dive deep into the controller's function like index, create, destroy, delete, and update, and again we'll have some clear understanding on the models function, which is find, get, and create. We'll add Bootstrap Pagination by modifying the or by registering it in the AppServiceProvider, and we'll use databaseSeeder file to test the data. So this features comes handy when you face a trouble. At present, if I explain, you won't understand, but if we stuck into a problem and it comes as a savior, in that case you will understand the real use of databaseSeeder file, which we will see in this video. Again, we have a middleware. We'll see how to create a middleware. So once you type this localhost :port, and once you type this, the Laravel is going to present you a view. In between the hitting of URL and the displaying of pages, there comes the middleware feature, which understands whether you are a logged in user, or whether you are a regular user, or whether you are a visitor of the website. So for that purpose, we create middleware to add restriction to the three roles. Now, for the CMS website, we'll be creating database, and I hope I'll pause this video, just pause this video and read it along, because this is what we'll be doing in this video, and these are the parts, or the step by step we'll be proceeding. For the first and foremost thing, we'll be installing the Laravel, close the running server, and get back to the Laravel projects. So I have placed all the Laravel projects into XAMPP, htdocs, and Laravel projects, and we would be installing the Laravel, and we can paste this pizza shop. We'll name this project as pizza shop. Let me show you. We'll be passing the command to the Laravel saying that create a composer, create a project, and download the Laravel folder into the Laravel projects folder, and name the folder as pizza, and this is the version that I want to download. So if you press Window E and get into the Explorer, as of now, Laravel projects, as of now there is no folder named pizza shop. So if you click enter, Laravel will download all the Laravel package, and install it or place it into your Laravel projects folder, and you can see the pizza shop shows up. Now it will take some time and download all the required files. Laravel is installed successfully. Now you need to get into the project folder which you have created right now, cd, and which is pizza shop, and inside that you need to run a code for installing Laravel UI. And once Laravel UI is installed, you need to install Bootstrap for the Laravel with authentication. So this is responsible for the login and logout feature in Laravel. Let the Laravel UI let first Laravel UI install properly, and once it is done, we'll do the Bootstrap. So both of them is done. Now you need to type npm install, and after the npm install you need to run npm run dev. So these two are little time taking, may take 2 to 3 minutes. I'm going to pause. And now npm run dev. Now all done. Make sure you see this table. Now let me just load this in the Visual Studio Code and dot, and your project will be loaded in the Visual Studio Code. So by then we can do is, we don't need it. You will create a database. So localhost my admin, and the database name that we will be giving this to this project is just pizza shop. So this is how we create. Click on new pizza shop, click on create, and once this is created you need to link this database to this Laravel project by getting into the env, and it's MySQL and the port and the database name which we have created, pizza shop, and username and password. Now this is linked. Now what we need to do is we need to get into the database folder, then migration. You should find a table called user tables, and here you need to add one more column, which is admin, and default is going to be 0. Actually we need to correct the syntax. It's admin ADMIN and default is 0. Now we need to create a model. So this model is responsible for interacting with database and with our Laravel application. So here in this case we'll be writing a code for the model, which is, and we'll name this model as pizza. Click enter, and now you will see in the database, in the migration, you will find the pizza table as well. Now here we need to add some columns. So the columns are, let me just copy it. It's a name, description, price. We don't need this category, and then we have image. So the data type for name is string, the data type for description is text, the data type for description price is integer, the data type for image is string. Now what we need to do is, since everything is set, and we just need to make sure before that let me just show you, in our database we don't have any table yet. So if I run this code called php artisan migrate, and once it is migrated, you will see, if you click on structures, you will see all the column got added, and if you click on users, you will see admin is also a column now, and in the pizzas table you will see the added column name. So these two comes from the timestamp which Laravel default had. You can see timestamp and ID is also there, timestamp is also there. Cool. Now this is also done. Now we need to understand the Laravel flow. So php artisan serve, this will create a live server. So you can see you can access your project in this IP address with the port 8000. So now if I click, so Laravel will land you to a default page. So when there is a call for the home page, Laravel will get into the routes folder, web.php, and you can see when there's a call for home URL, it will just show you the welcome page. So you can see this is the welcome page which is coming from resources, views, and welcome. So now if I remove all and say hello from welcome page, and this will be loaded when there's a call for home page, and there is a it is showing you welcome.php. So we don't need this seedings. Let me just, so as I said in the web.php, when I type home, let's see what shows up. It is directing me to the login page. Why? Let me just show you in a minute. So when there's a call for home, it is going to check for the controller. So you can access the controller in the app http controllers, and the controller name is home controller, and in the home controller, it is going to access the index function. Here it is the index function, and in the index function it says just return the view home, but it is not returning the home, but it is landing me to the login page. It's because of the middleware. It's home, not home, HOME. It is directing me to the login page. It is because of this middleware that has been added to the constructor. Now if I go for home, you will now be able to access to the home. Even though you are not logged in, it is showing it you as logged in. So it's better to uncomment this, or just comment this, and in the home page, which is home.blade.php, here what we will have is, here we will have our front end of website. So refresh it, and if I go for home, I think it's not saved. Yeah, it's not saved. Home, and here we will have our front end of the website, the carousel and the list of products page. Cool. I hope you understand the flow now. We need a page for editing, updating and deleting, which is CRUD operation. So in that case, as the home controller is responsible for home and welcome page, we need to create another controller for the backend. So in this case, to stop the server, you can press Ctrl C, and we need to create a controller. So the controller name is going to be pizza controller. And a pizza controller will be created. You can see it is created. It has come with some default function, so we will use each of the function when it is required, but we'll use this in this video. That's the feature, specialty of this video. That's what I meant, because I won't be explaining line by line as of now, but when it's needed, I'll say. Cool. Now we need to create a route. So in the web.php, right now we have created a route. So when I call visa/create, what should happen? It should get into the visa controller, and in the visa controller there's a function called create, and we can name it as visa.create. I'll show you why this name is required. So this is the name of the route we'll use in a minute. I'll explain you. The same way, when I search this in the URL, make sure your server is running. When I search this in the URL, it says it is not found as of now. It will get into the controller. We'll access this controller over here. And inside the controller we have a class, they have a function called visa, and inside the visa you can just return some sayings that this is from create function of visa control. I am intentionally making this spelling mistake just to make this video short. So now you will see it's not saved yet. So when there's a call for this, and it will get into the controller, and inside the controller we have create, and in the visa.controller we are going to return this. You can see I have made a mistake saying that it was double slash, and I made the single slash, and this is from create function of. So this is clear, and in this case you can make this return view, and the return view can be from the folder called visa. Inside the folder we will create a file called create. So where we can create in the resources folder, in the views we need to create a folder, and the folder name is going to be visa. Inside the folder we'll create a file, and it's create.blade.php, and over here you can write the same thing and say this is from view, this is from create function of visa controller, the data is from view folder. Save this, and again you search it. So again you can see you can have your HTML here. Now the same way we can have a create, control shift S, and create another file called view, and again in the web.php make a duplicate of this, and when there's a call for index, access the index file, and you can give a name dot called create.visa.index, and now this is the view part. So as I said, it will get into the index, and you can return the view, and in this case the file is index hello from index file. Now if I change the URL and make this index, and you will see visa.index is not found, and I think we have not created the file in the, yeah, it's there, view. Let me see why it is showing this way. Create, the same way it will get into the index as it is index, and get into the visa controller index, visa controller index, and return the view called visa.index, and in the views folder, inside the visa folder we have a view. That's what we are seeing, but it's showing me an error. Let me just delete this and create it new file. Okay, it's index.blade.php. Type something visa.index, and yes, you got it. Cool. Now we have our admin LTE backend. So I'll leave this link in the description. So in the admin LTE folder you'll find index file. So this is the bare minimum required to run, bare minimum HTML required to run the admin LTE, like the single post type, and then we have the link, drop down link, and here we will have what, our table and forms. Cool. Now what we can do is we need to break this down. So here, first of all, in the admin LTE folder you will find the assets which will have JS and CSS. Let me copy that, and in the Laravel projects or ice pizza shop, then you will find public, then paste it. Now let us open this HTML file in the Visual Studio Code, and you see these things are linked. So Laravel also has, let me just do one thing. In the create an index file, let me just copy the content what is inside the home, create and index. Now if I type index, if you press U, you'll see there is header and footer in the index file, but in our index file there is no header and footer. It says it is extending from layouts.app. In the layouts.app you will see all the HTML which you see over here. So this is taking as a parent, and the app.play.layout is getting extended into the index. So now you need to find a section called content in the parent. So you'll find it over here. So whatever you write here in between these in the code, between this code, that will get replaced over here. So just to give you an example, hello, and if you see in our index, you will just see hello, and if you press Ctrl U, every code will be same except in the place where it is yield, it would get replaced with your hello. So now you got it where to change. So let's just first link the CSS file and JS file with in the app.play.php. Just copy these, paste it, and paste it here, because we need a absolute link. Without it, it will be just a relative link. I hope you understand what is absolute and relative. So let me just take one and make you understand what is absolute and relative. So now you'll see this is absolute link. The absolute link comes with your URL, which is IP address, and now this is your relative link. So to make this absolute, we have this function asset. Now the same way we need to add the JS as well. In the bottom you'll find the JS. Again we are making this absolute. Cool. If you refresh this, now your CSS and JavaScript has been linked properly. Now it's time for the sidebar to be added in your index and create file. So in the HTML, I know I have made these changes, so I know where is sidebar. You can see this is sidebar, and sidebar is inside the aside. So you just copy this and create a new file in the view, and new file. You'll name it as sidebar.blade.php. Now just paste the code and save it. And now you can extend this sidebar in your index by @include, and you can name it as sidebar. The same way for the create as well. Now if you make a refresh on index, you'll see a sidebar available for you. Cool, that's cool. Now in the create as well, you'll find the sidebar. So now it's time to create the form on the create page. So we have successfully integrated the Admin LTE into our dashboard. Now it's time for the form. So to have the form, I'll just copy paste. So you'll see we have a form. I'll explain you line by line what is inside. Okay, there seems to be a missing HTML. We need to fix it. So you need to surround them inside. The form need to be surrounded inside this. So we get into, it's better we get into app.blade.php and paste it in place of yield, and get the yield and replace it over here. And if I make a refresh, that doesn't work well, so better leave as it is, and get into create.blade.php and copy this and close the form, and we need to paste your form inside here in this place. Now let's try. Cool, you got it, but you will see there is a problem here. So in that case, we'll fix it with CSS. Select the side and make this fixed, and copy this code and get into the app.blade.php and paste your CSS in the head section. Style, cool. And now you can see it's sticking. So in place of burger, it's we have pizza right now. I need to change it. So in the HTML we have name of the pizza, the text area, the price, the category. We don't need this category for this project. And then we have the image, input type image. So make sure all of the HTML has the name attribute. So the name of the pizza has name attribute name, the description text box, text area has description, and the price and the name. Cool. Now it's time to use the name of the route. So you can see the name route, and in the sidebar, to access the URL, you can actually use the route name. Route, and you need to pass the name here, route. It's view, so pizza dot index. So the same way, if it is create, it's pizza dot create. Now in the sidebar, if you want to access between the view, so this view is blank because table would come here, and then we have create. Cool. Now in the form, you'll see we have added the cross-site reference forgery. We have method post, and we are uploading image, so that's the reason the encrypt type, this should be there, or else you won't be able to upload your image. Now when I submit this form, the data will get into the URL, and the URL should be pizza slash or pizza dot, it's a name route. We'll be creating a route right now. Route pizza dot, so where we'll save it, let's find the function, relevant function for the pizza controller, index create. So store is the right one, so we'll use store, pizza dot store. Now we'll use the name route, so let's create the route. So the method is going to be post, and the URL is store. As we have given the name route, it should be pizza.store, and the function that is going to handle is store. Now when you click on submit, you should get all the input value with the help of this request variable all. Now let's check, refresh this page, and if you click on submit, you'll see method post is not supported in route web.php. Method post is not supported for this route. So I was editing the wrong file, so this is the right file. Click on create, and you can see name is null, description is null, and price is null. So this is coming from the store function dump data. Now we need to create a validation. So to create validation, I just want you to notice all the validation files will be created inside the HTTP. So let's create a validation. Let's close the server. And now to create the validation, we need to create a request. The request is, you can give any name, pizza store request, because we'll be creating two requests in this section, so we need to name them properly. So you see a folder appears here, and the request file is also there. Now let me just run the server. Now yes, we need to authorize true, and we need to say what all fields need validation. So in that case, we have name, description, price, and image. Name is required, the data type is string, minimum value 3, maximum value 40. Description is required, it should be string, the maximum value is 400. The price is required, it's numeric, it should start from 3 and end on 5000. The image is required, the allowed types of PNG, JPEG, and JPEG. Cool. Now what we need to do is we need to call this in the controller, and we need to create a reference for this, and this reference will make sure it's validated. Now we need to call them over here. It's app http request, actually it's request folder, and then we have our request file. So now this is done. Now if you go again, so before that we need to show the error. To show the error, we'll be showing the error over here. We have a relevant code. So if there is error, don't forget @endif. If there is error, then display all the error with the help of for each, and each of them should be surrounded inside the div called alert danger. Cool, let's try. Refresh this. If you click on save, translator cannot define, so there seems to be an issue on the calling. Use app http. Inside http we have a request, and then I think it's small a. I'm a little confused. Refresh this, click on save. Target class does not exist. Oh, it says there we have a problem. I think we have made a spelling mistake somewhere. It should be true. Save, and you see all the error. If I try to fill one, you'll see that name will go out, and description will also go. Cool. Likewise, we can make this validation. So now it's time for storing the values with the help of controller. So here we have a model. We need to make use of model to send the values to the database. So call the models in the store. Now we can comment this. Call the model, which is in this case is pizza, and use the create function, and it's an array, associative array, and we make sure you have imported the model here inside http. No, not it. They directly have model models, and it's just pizza model. Cool. Now since we have imported it, and now we need to pass the request input field name attribute here. These are the name attributes, and we are storing into the column names. These are the column names, and you'll see this image path. Now we need to define the path, and we know this should have image because it's the name of the input field, and then we need to store, we need to make a, usually Laravel stores all the images into the storage folder. You see, this is a storage folder. Inside we have app, inside we have public. I'm placing that inside public. Create a file called pizza and store it. Cool. Make sure it has small s. Now once it is stored, we need to make a redirection and make a redirect, and the route should be pizza dot index and the message, and in the index file, which is over here, you should have a message just like we had the error message. It should say the success message also. So everything seems right. Now let's just create cheese pizza, description leave as it is, 250 rupees, and choose the pizza. Let's choose this one and click on save. Okay, we are making a bulk assignment, that means a mass assignment. So when we do a mass assignment, we need to edit the model, and it should say you should not we should command the model saying that you should not guard anything. So protect, we'll create a variable called protected, sorry, guarded, and it should not guard anything. So pass empty array flag and click on save again, and you see it's an index page, and it should say something like the message, it is shown properly. Again, there seems to be an issue. So as I said, we need to properly paste them. Copy this, paste it over here, and just leaving the form, paste it here. Now let's try adding one more pizza. Create. So this is burger. Now you can change in the sidebar as it is pizza. Well, you can do it later on as well, but PIZZA pizza shop. So now it's pizza shop, and as I said, it's going to be chicken pizza, description 250 rupees. Let's choose the second pizza and click on save. Stored successfully. So now in the database you should have two columns. Yes, we have two columns. Now it's time to show the columns in the index.blade.php. So here again it's very simple, just like we have pasted the form, we will be pasting the table right now. Now not just, that's just not enough. So in the index we need to display, so we need to make use of the pizza again, and you can use get and store it into a variable called $all pizzas, and you can send these variable that has information of all pizzas into a function called compact. Now we can access this with the in the index file. So I have already used this, it's just pizza. So let me just explain. So this is the table head with the submit category. So here, since we have receiving the variable with the help of compact from the index file, sorry, index function, we can access this over here in this file. So we are using the for each loop. We know there are multiple records, that's the reason for each. I'm using key because to add the serial number, and then these are the column names, and then we are linking the storage. We are asking the storage file to have the URL and display the count. So in the controller, so I'm sorry, it should come over here on the index function. Cool, let's try again. Chicken visa and cheese visa are there, and now you can see the images. You'll see, let me just get into inspect and show you. So it is linking to the storage folder. So now what we need to do is to access the image, we need all the images in the public folder. So in the public folder there are only 3 folders: assets, CSS and JS. Now we need to link this storage folder with our public folder. So for that we can have a code called php artisan storage :link, and now you'll see a storage folder is shown up. Now you can access these. If you refresh now, you can access the image. The server is not running. Cool. Now you can see the image is accessible now. So in the index, we don't have category. Cool. So now we have created the create part, and all visas in the create. Okay, we need to remove this. In the create, it's the form. In the view, it's the view all part. Now we need to have a edit button. Here in the action, let's have a anchor tag, and here it will have edit button. Cool. And we have a class btn primary, and for the route we can have the edit function visa dot edit. So in the controller you'll see there is edit function, but the edit function needs ID, so we need to pass the ID as well. Inside the route, so we have access to this database, and we can pass the ID. So if I refresh, the route is not created. So in the web.php, so it's edit. As we know, we are passing the ID, so this is how we pass ID, and the relevant function is edit, and the name route which we have used is edit. Now not in the create but in the view, click on edit. So the get method is not supported, so here we need to use put. Cool, let's try again. We need to use put. Get method is not supported in route. I think we have saved it properly. I'm sorry for that, I got a little confused. It should be get. Cool, now we are able to get into this function. Now in the visa controller we can just show the data of ID $ID. Now if I click semicolon, You can see 1 and you can see 2. Cool. Now what we need to do is we need to return this into a view. So return view. So to return we need to create a view first. So return view, and the view is going to be pizza.edit. So we have just created index and create. So we need to copy this. We need to create a new file, and we need to name it as edit.play.php and paste it. It's going to be very similar to the create, but you will see. So you can see edit has shown up. So there is little modification in HTML. Here it should be edit, and the second row data. So we have only 2 rows. So you can see this is row number 2. These data should be pre-filled in this form. So in that case, in the controller we have to make a query. So use the pizza model and use the find function and pass the ID and get the values pizza column and store it into a variable and pass this variable with the help of compact function and access this compact function in our edit. So we can remove this route for now. So in place of placeholder we will have value, and since it's a single value you can directly access it with name. Now if I refresh, the name should be populated. Yes, the same way for the description will not have value attribute. We can directly place it inside the description text, and for the price, let this be text, and for the image we'll have image. And what we done for the index page, to show the image we'll use the same trick in the index. Make a refresh. All the data are pre-filled. $pizza, it's not pizza, it's pizza column. And now let me check again. Let's use cheese pizza this time. So you see all the data are pre-filled. Now again we need to make a request. So if some of the value is missing, it should raise an error. In that case, let me create a request, and in this case it's going to be not update, update pizza update. Create this. So you'll see there would be one more file in the request, which is pizza update. Everything would be same except one thing. The required will not be there in this pizza, because while updating you may update, you need all these value, but it is optional if the user is willing to update an image or the user is not willing to update the image. So that's it, and you need to use this in the pizza controller. So from where we are passing the values, okay, we'll do it. So first make sure when I click on submit, who is going to handle which function is going to handle. So here in this case we'll make use of update. So this will have the validation class. Just import it. So here your update, just dump the directory, dump data, and use request all, and let's check again. If we click on edit, so that won't work unless you give in the edit. We need to create a route for that. So here route, it's going to be, we have already named, we are going to name it as visa.update, and we need to pass the ID also. So you can see this table will have ID also, because in the controller you will see the ID is also getting passed, so we need to mandatorily pass the ID or else it won't work. So in the web.php, let's create an update update, and the function that is going to handle this update, and the name is this one, and here it's going to be put. And in the edit you have to make sure you're explicitly specifying the method saying that which is put. Now make sure your server is running. So if you click on edit, this is unauthorized. Why? In the visa controller, just okay, it shows it is forbidden 403. So we'll do one thing, instead of displaying all the data, we'll use the model to find the row with the ID and store it into a variable called visas. And what we do is we will use the HTML input field to fill the columns, not fill but to update. So I'm saying that use the column and use the input field data to fill. So likewise, these are the column names and these are the name attribute. And again, in the path, in the image, there should be two cases. If the request has image, if the request has image, else. So in this case, if the request has image, the path has been updated. So we need to store it into a variable as we did previously while saving. And if the path is not updated, so if the image is not updated, so we need to use the same which we get from the database and store it into a path. So now to store, what we can do is get the image from the request and then store it in the location which we have specified, public/visa. Cool. And if everything is updated, then we need to redirect them to the index page saying the message updated successfully. Let's type, which is cheese. Let's change the spelling to cheese properly and click on edit, and it says it is forbidden. Let me check why. I believe I have properly set them properly. Visa update. Okay, this face. Okay, it's forbidden because we have not made this true in our request creation. Price must be number 150. Okay, we may have written wrong. Here it should be price. Refresh this and let me just make this cheese spelling correction and click on edit and define variable pizzas from where in the pizza controller. the update. Okay, it should come over here. Refresh. It's not a get request. Click on edit. Updated successfully. You can see this there. Let's try to update the image as well. Let's try different image. Let's try this. And yes, we are able to update the image. So now, let us try adding some more visas, and then we'll use pagination function. Create a regular visa 200. Create medium visa 150. Create traditional visa 150. Create wedge visa 200. And finally non-wedge visa 300. Save. Okay, it's giving a validation error. So in the view we have some 6 visas. So what we can do is, let's add pagination in Laravel. So Laravel Bootstrap Pagination, just type and get into the documentation, and make sure you are in the 8th version, and in the table of content you will find using Bootstrap. And now you have to get into the providers, AppServiceProvider, and here you have to register your use Bootstrap Paginator and use this. You make sure you are importing the paginator, and if everything is set right, you will see in the index function of your controller you can have, instead of get, so actually this is our actual file. Instead of get, you can have paginate, and the maximum you can have 3, and if you make a refresh you will find only 3 in a page. But to make the pagination active, you have to get into the index.relate.php, and make sure where your for closes, make sure where your table ends, where my table ends, it's here. So use the blade, so you can use $paginate and link. So actually the problem here is in the index it's not paginate, but it's the all visas which we get from the model, not the model, but from the controller. It says as method database collection does not exist, index.relate.php, and its links. Cool. 3 per page. Now it's time for the delete. So to have delete, let me just create another link and we'll name it as delete. And for the delete we need pop-up, so we'll use Bootstrap pop-up of W3 School. we need a simple one. So this is the button which is responsible for activating the pop-up. So just copy this and paste it. So it's just a button. Instead of anchor tag, let's make this button. Let's try, because I not pasted the code for model. Just copy this and paste it before your for each, because each model will have ID. So let's use the ID as a unique character ID. The same way to activate the model. So you can see each model will have ID. So refresh this. So click on edit. You'll find a model and you can edit the model. Delete item, DELET, delete item, question mark. We wrote in this body. We have head and footer. So instead of close, you can make this delete, and you can make input type submit and surround these with a form. Close this. And when you use form in Laravel, it is compulsory to have @cross-site request forgery, and for the method it's going to be delete. So here we'll specify method post, and the URL will just say in a minute, but to make sure everything works fine, click on delete. So when I click on the close, it acts as a submit button. So the URL that is going to handle is, let's create a route, and here it's going to be delete, pizza.delete, and of course to what to delete we need to pass the ID as well. And we need to create a route in the web.php, and it's going to be the method of delete. We are passing the ID, and the URL is delete. The method that is going to handle is delete, and everything's simple. Now let's get into the controller, and you'll find the delete. It's not delete, it's destroy. I'm sorry for that. The function that in the web.php, the function is destroy, and over here is expecting ID. We need to find the row, use the model, find the row, and then delete it and get into the pizza index page. Refresh it. Syntax error on index.blade.php. Yes, it's already a blade, so we don't have to write again. Cool. Let's try to delete regular visa. Yes. Delete. If you click on delete, it is closing it. So instead of closing, let me delete this. Delete. And yes, it is deleted successfully. Now regular visa is not in the list. Well, that's very nice. So we have completed the CRUD operation. Now it's time for all the data to be populated in the front end of the page. So you know the front end, which is home, is responsible for displaying all the data. So let's get into the home. It will delete all, and let me just copy paste the code and let me explain you. Also, let's just extend all the HTML, and here we need to make we need to make sure, actually we need a database here. So here, what is the database that we actually need is, we need to display all the values of visa table into the page. So here we need to find the relevant controller that is handling its visa home controller. Make sure to import your controller here. So how do you import your controller? Let me just, in the home controller, the web.php, we'll use this controller and get into home controller and use it. And in the index, let's use the model and get all values and store it into a variable called all visas, and with the help of compact function we can send these values. So now we can access this in the home variable. I'll explain you in a minute. It's what we have actually done earlier, the same for each, and this code is similar to what we have done in the table. Let me refresh this. Controllers, it's not actually a controller. From where? I have controllers.visa. In the home controller, actually it's a model. We have to import the model. I'm so sorry. We have to import the model, not the controller. Got a little confused. Actually, in the home there is still a variable called ice cream. It's because of the copy paste mistake. In the home, we'll work on it when we need admin. Cool. This is, we can rename it to visa shop. Cool. So these values are coming from database. So we have 1, 2, 3 chicken cheese pizza, chicken pizza, medium, veg, traditional. Let's try add one more pizza and check whether we are able to properly. Pizza dot create. Now here let's try ice cream, vanilla ice cream, ice CREM. Okay, 50 rupees. Save. Now you should see vanilla ice cream is over, has been populated in the front end as well. Cool. Now we are able to add the, now it's time to create the middleware. So as I said, the middleware is responsible for stopping the unauthorized access. So now if I try to register it, make sure, let me just get into your users table and understand why we need database seed. So if I try to register, login, so not login, register, you will see there is a variable called isAdmin. I want you to notice this. So let me just make this user1 at the rate gmail.com, click on register. Now it is registered. If I click on the database, it would be populated, but in admin it is 0, so it is default value. So for the admin I want to make this as 1. So in the actual Laravel way of registering, the admin can't register by itself. So in that case we need a file called databaseSeeder, which you can find in the database Seeder, databaseSeeder. So here I'm using the model, so let's use the model app models, and then we have user. You can see this is what I'm mentioning, user. So now you can use, we are creating an object. So these are the name, we are filling the values, email, password, and the admin value I'm specifying it's 1. So this is the name, this is the email, this is the password. I am encrypting it and then saving it. Now we need to use close the server and php artisan d database :seed. Now it would be populated in your, make sure your server is running. So you can see this is UI monk and the admin is 1. Now we have 2 users, which is one is admin and one is non-admin. So to segregate, we need to create a model first. So middleware first. So let's create a middleware, and it's going to be just visa admin. Let's create a middleware. So in the middleware folder you will find http middleware, you will find visa admin. Yeah, it's there, visa admin. So in the visa admin you are going to specify if the user it's better to copy paste. I'm saying if it's a authorized user, and if the authorized user has the admin 1, then proceed to the request, or else redirect them to the login. So once we have set this admin, we need to register them in the kernel. So this is the route middleware. It is similar to the authentication, so I'm just copying the authentication, and it's visa middleware, and the relevant function here is, which we have created right now, which is the middleware visa admin. Call the visa admin and register them in the kernel, and once it is used, now we need to create a route group. So by creating route group, we are specifying that only the specified middleware can access these. So whatever route we write here, that only can be accessed by the admin. So except the home, let's make all. These all things should only be accessed by the admin now. So as a regular user, if I type visa.create, server is not running. It should redirect me to the login. So if I make visa.index, it should redirect me to the login. So if I log in as an admin, UI monk@gmail.com. Now this is an admin. So since I am an admin, I can able to access visa.create. Cool. Now if I open it in incognito mode and log in as a regular user, /home, log in as a regular, one more thing, you find the mistake, isn't it? So if there is a call for the IP address also, just do the same. So if there is a call for the IP address also, just redirect them to the home. Now if I log in as a user, which we have made, that's user1@gmail.com, login. Now we are logged in. So if I try to access visa.create, then I would be redirected to the login. If I try to access visa.index, I would be redirected to the login. Since I am logged in, I'm getting viewed the home. I'm getting the view of home page. Cool. In case if you want to change the text of the Laravel, I hope it's in the app layout.app. You'll find Laravel somewhere specified, and just change it to UI Monk visas. Cool. So I hope that's clear. Now let me check what is missing. So now we have two login, which is the user one, which don't have access to visa.create URL. Now the same way, this is the admin. You can see here is admin. Now we can add, let's say burger, chicken burger, and the price is 300. We can have some burger, this one. Click on save. Since you have added it, you can see it on the home page. The burger is there, and for the non-admin user also, we can have the view of burger in the home page. Yes, one final thing is, if the user is admin, and what if we want to move to the dashboard, we need to show the login link here. So in that case, we will show, if it's a logged in user, if the logged in user is admin, then show the buttons, which is create and view all. So this is for admin, and this is for non-admin. So non-admin will not have the create and update. So you can see non-admin, and here it is admin. So if I make a logout, you'll see the button gets disappear. And if I log in as not register, but log in as admin, you should see the way to get into the backend. View all. So you can see, you can view all the products which you have added. And if you think burger is relevant or ice cream is relevant, you can just make a delete, and it will be deleted. And from the backend, if you want to get into the front end, you need to edit the sidebar. Just copy this and make sure just type front end, and here it is going to be just home, I believe, or just slash. I think, yeah, I have given this is the name of the route, so you need to be precise, the home. So we have deleted the ice cream. Let's just check whether we have ice cream in our shop. No, we don't have ice cream in our shop. So let me just check as a user who is not admin. Again, admin is not in our shop. So that's all for this video. Thank you so much for listening. Meet you in the next CMS project.